And welcome back, everyone, to game two here of week two of Coalition League's summer split. We are watching the Noxus division between Seven Men and Vengeful Reapers here. And I'm Random Minion Caster, and alongside me for game two is Angelic Poro. How'd you find game one, Poro?
Game one's been pretty interesting because those two teams weren't really the best, weren't as optimal as they could be, but they somehow made it work out. So it was interesting to see the Darius just pop off just so hard for in that such a little amount of time. Just Vengeful Reaper just playing it so much better with the draft and the gameplay. It's just wow.
Yeah, definitely. Vengeful Reapers seem to have the number of seven men there across every single lane there. Microthorns, Darius. I think that was the only lane where we weren't really saying was a hard counter pick, and yet that was the lane which absolutely dominated here. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. And there is a change here on the side of seven men. Their top laner. They're changing out the Ascendant for top lane Sucks, who was their top laner last week.
Oh, interesting. I'm trying to think of how these two players of the Rose player swap is gonna go between um against Microthorns, because as we saw, Microthorns just absolutely demolished the previous player, and it's quite interesting to see if their substitute is gonna be more suited for this task, or it's going to be relatively the same. That's something that we're going to have to keep an eye out on. And if Seven Man does pull this off, it's going to be an interesting series, to say the least.
Definitely here. And top lane Sucks last week, I believe they played against, I want to say it's Nitro they played against here last week. And I just double check there. Here's someone played against MG Nitro. Yeah, so they did play against Super Carry, MG Super Carry last week, and they did really well actually. Came back and dominated, but picks and bans have started here.
And we see the buyout already. Not quite a strong champion during this patch, but it's still one that you have to fear nonetheless. And we see the Echo coming out for seven men along with Gnar. Gnar making kind of a comeback, but he's not really a champion that you have to be quite worried about. But he is still quite annoying to play against.
Yeah, and I think those are targeted bans at the specific players here. Top lane Sucks playing a lot of Gnar as well for himself, and Teemin, also known as Kyle Timon, known to be a very strong Vi and Lee Sin player. So that Vi definitely keeping it out of the hands of Teemin there.
Yeah. And with Yumi banned, that's gonna be a lot of options coming out for the support role. However, we do see the Alistar ban, so they are gonna get rid of the annoying knockups and push from Alistar. And Vengeful Reaper already picking up Darius as the first pick. I'm not too quite sure about this, but what's your opinion on this pick?
I mean, they did it last game and it worked out really well for them. I don't think Darius has a super hard counter in lane, so definitely a safe pick. Then that Yorick pick there, instantly come up from top lane Sucks. This was a counter pick that top lane did use last week as well. So um, we'll have to see who's got the better pick there and who really got the better of those top laners.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be like a skill matchup, and since Darius doesn't literally one-shot every ghouls, it's gonna be quite interesting to see how Yorick played this lane out, especially when the Lee Sin is picked up for seven men.
Yeah, and
Just
specifically that matchup between Darius and Yorick there. Yorick does benefit from the fact that Darius can't one-shot those ghouls, but at the same time, Darius does get healing from those ghouls as well. So just having more of them around, it's an interesting trade-off there. Both of them are pretty, they do have their advantages in this particular matchup. So That's why I think it should be definitely a good, interesting one. And I didn't think the Darius first pick would be too bad here.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely be interesting, and with the Elise that's gonna be coming out with along with Thresh, it's gonna be quite interesting. It may not even be Elise here. It's gonna be Diana and Thresh. I'm not quite feeling the synergy between the support and the mid lane, and and it leaves a lot of room for the ADC to be banned out. But as we did see from last game, the top lane was definitely the game decider of that game one. But we're definitely gonna have to see a difference between another role now, ever since they did ban the Alistar, which did help them quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's like we said at game one too. Vengeful Reaper is not a team necessarily to pick compositionally for their team. They pick a lot of strong lanes and winning matchups. And I think the Diana pick, pardon me, was a solid pick to deny it from the hands of Little Big Baby because he does prioritize it a lot. But we saw this happen last week when Seven Men played MG Nitro. TA Piglet did pick Diana first, and this is Little Big Baby's counter, the Fizz. It struggles a bit early lane, but it wins out late game, especially if you can find a kill in the jungle or in another lane. The Fizz seems to win the matchup after he gets a couple of items. So I think Vengeful Reaper might have made a bit of a mistake picking that Diana to deny it.
Right, and since Diana does have the Moonfall, it's gonna be quite interesting because, as we know, Fizz doesn't really play all that well against Diana, yet Diana doesn't go well into Fizz either. So it's gonna be quite interesting to see how this matchup goes along. And there's just gonna be a lot of action from mid game and transition phase in the early game to round off all the bans. It's gonna be Ashe and Lulu for Vengeful Reapers, and for 7 men, it's gonna be Lucian and Elise.
Yeah, interesting bans here. The Lulu ban for Brian, a little surprising. Yes, he does play it, but I don't think he's played it in the Coalition League thus far. I do like the Ash ban though against Mookstar. His Ash did a lot of work. It wasn't as well protected as we might have liked to see there, but definitely did do a lot, especially it scaled into the late game. But here we go. There's the Sivir coming out once more for Imagines. And I really do like that Sivir, especially with Diana, because this is a brawly team comp. They've got a tanky front line that wants to get in there and really fight it out, and that on the hunt will let them engage that much easier for themselves.
Right, and we do see the Sivir once again. Just a really good synergy down in the bot lane. We do have the peel, we do have that spell shield. Sivir can easily escape most engages. And interestingly enough, we see a Mordekaiser instead of a traditional jungler.
And I actually really like this pick from Vengeful Reapers. Microthorn popped off on Mord last week, became absolute monster, and we just saw him pop off in the Darius. So suddenly, 7 men are gonna have a problem picking, like dealing with this. They don't know where everybody's gonna go necessarily. That Diana is probably locked in for the jungle, and we've seen Noise play it in the jungle before. He did play it last week. So yeah, that's a really good adaptation. I suspect that Mort is the counter there for Jason against Lil Big Baby in the mid lane.
Right, and however, we do see a Tristana and Blitzcrank on the other side of the map. It's They're gonna have a lot of pick potential. However, if they pick the wrong target, for example, they pick Mordekaiser, the entire fight is gonna be basically over. And if Mordekaiser can take one of them out, it's basically gonna be game if Diana Mordekaiser pops off early on.
For sure. And 7 men's draft concerns me the same way it did last game. I don't see synergy in their composition at all. It seems very mixed here. You've got a Yorick who wants a split push. Tristana doesn't really have synergy with anybody on that team. Sure, they've got displacements in tons here with the hook, with the knockback, with the dragon kick. Lots of displacements, but I don't see what they're looking for here. The only way I see them winning this is they get picks with the Blitzcrank. They isolate a single target, whoever it might be, and they burst them immediately here. But then again, like who do they pick? Sivir? She's got a spell shield. We saw that last game already, and Brian struggled to find those targets. If they pick Mordekaiser, he can just death realm somebody, and suddenly it goes from a 5v1 to a 1v1 while the rest of his team comes up. So looking at Seven Men's composition, that Blitzcrank again doesn't fit in, and I have to question Brian's champion pool at this point. Is this a sign that he doesn't have the champion pool? Because as soon as Yumi's banned, he's playing Blitzcrank, and he does this over and over again.
Right, but again, that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is much harder on the teams to pick around these bans also. As for Seven Men, they will have to play this cautiously and see where the flow of the game goes. For Vengeful Reaper, they will need to push the tempo quite a bit and make the Diana come online as fast as possible. After seeing these two picks and bans these draft, what is your take on both of these teams?
So I think it's actually the onus is on Seven Men to actually have to push the tempo here. They have a Lee Sin, and we saw what happened last game where Lee Sin starts to fall off. Early game last game, we saw Teeman chasing Noise's Elise around the jungle, and Elise had to keep running. But come the late game, his Lee Sin fell off, and it was the opposite. Noise managed to chase Teeman around because Lee Sin just doesn't scale well into the late game, and Blitzcrank sort of has a similar problem in that early game when you get hit by a blitz hook, that's instant death pretty much. Late game though, once Darius has time to bulk up, once Mordekaiser has time to bulk up, once Diana has time to bulk up, suddenly getting hit by a hook isn't the end of the game. It's, if anything, it's a free engage for the side of Vengeful Reaper. So I think Seven Men once again have to be the ones to look for those picks to try and get a lead coming out of the laning phase and try and end the game quickly. Vengeful Reapers, they have the late game insurance. A late game Mordekaiser is a terrifying thing. Diana too. We saw Lil Big Baby playing the Diana last game, and when he scaled into late game, sure, he gets bursted really quickly, but his Moonfall damage initiating meant that he had the highest damage in the game. So again, if the game keeps dragging out, Noise is going to have incredible bursts, and he can probably one-shot the Fizz or the Tristana, or even maybe the Lee Sin if he doesn't build tanky at all. And Sivir with the crits late game, also huge insurance. Seven Men only has really the Tristana for late game insurance. So I think Vengeful kind of have this once again in the picks and bans, and it will come down to the in-game execution here.
Right, the in-game execution is going to be the thing to watch out here for. If one thing crumbles, the rest of the pillars on Seven Men's team is definitely gonna have to fall alongside with it. That being said, it's not a bad composition at all, but it's not a perfect one, if you would say so. Though I wish they picked a different support, as for it didn't quite work out last game. Blitzcrank does give some utility across the team comp, though there isn't much to say about it.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I think might be different this game from game one, just because the Alistair got banned, which I think was a really good adaptation, we might see that level one invade from the side of Seven Men. A Thresh is not as scary as a Alistair at that level one, and if you hook the Thresh as a Blitzcrank, it's not that big a deal. You can still kill him quite easily. He will be isolated. So I am hoping Seven Men invade this game a bit early because I think that would be an advantage for them that they could look for right away, starting from level one.
Yeah, if they do get this invade off, they're definitely gonna get quite a bit of space and breathing room for a couple of minutes. If they don't successfully pull this off, it's definitely gonna hurt them quite a bit, and they really need to make this work, or else it's just gonna fall apart. That's what's going in my mind, at least.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And the other thing I want to see also is that top lane matchup between Microthorn and top lane Sucks. Last game, the Ascendant struggled in that lane, and top lane Sucks. He won his lane in his previous week against MG Nitro. He either won it really hard or he lost it really hard. So the top lane could be a repeat of game one, or it could be the opposite, where top lane just dominates. And I'm looking forward to seeing both these juggernauts in the top lane going at it, because that's another win condition potentially besides the Blitzcrank early. If top lane sucks can get ahead and become as big a monster as Microthorn did last in game one, then I think yeah, it will definitely be really good. And to chat, Microthorn almost got the Penta last game. It's Jason who kind of stole it there, so you guys have to watch out for Jason. Get him to stop stealing that if you want that Penta skin.
Yeah, Jason last game. Just not getting the penta, man. Just basically denying out. It's what a shame, but we all want to see that pentakill and the free raffle. So, if anything, go tell Jason that you don't want him to steal the pentakill once again and let Micro Thorn to get the penta.
Yeah, and with that, we will probably head to a short intermission break right now while we wait out the spectator delay. So we'll see you guys all in a couple of minutes here. And we're on to the Rift here with 7 men and Vengeful Reapers here for game 2. Vengeful Reapers on the blue side this time, 7 men on the red side.
Right, and with that, we do see a quite a very well. there's various options that Blitzcrank can do. They can go from the lane, they can do 5-point, they could go to Pixel. They have a lot of options just with Blitzcrank being on their team. They can literally pick anyone off. Blitzcrank having the extra range that Thresh can't, and they can't do anything against it. But however, we do see that they won't go for an invade. Instead, they would just sit around the blue buff and wait for something to happen.
Yeah, and I find that actually a really confusing start. Like, if you're gonna invade, invade. If you're not gonna invade, then defend. Because right now, they left their top side completely exposed. If Vengeful Reapers had decided to invade on the top side, they could have gotten ambushed there, and top lane sucks just on his own, didn't drop a ward. This could be a dead man here right now if Vengeful Reapers had invaded. And we did see Nitro invade last week against the Blitzcrank. They did it to counter invade and force the Blitzcrank to be defensive. So ballsy move here from 7men.
Yeah, I just don't quite like this because, as we said, the Blitzcrank really wants to get that aggressive motion in action. If Blitzcrank doesn't get it quite rolling early on, he literally has nothing in his kit that basically screams defensive about him except for his E knockup. But even then, they have to be on top of him for him to use his knockup or rocket fist. So it's basically impossible for Blitzcrank to be defensive unless they want to kill his own ADC.
Definitely. That being said, I mean, mid-game, Tristana, I think, might have a slight advantage on Sivir. We'll really have to see, because I'm not sure who wants to skill up more. Is it the Sivir or the Tristana early here? I feel like Sivir is really strong early, but then so is the explosive shot. Mid-game, at least, Tristana gets a bit more range, so might be able to trade a little bit safer, get a bit of poke down on the Thresh and Sivir, and perhaps that's what they're aiming for. I'm just trying to guess why, or how they can really play this lane out in the bot lane a bit safer.
Well, yeah, for sure. For this bot lane, if Sivir can get ahead, perfect. If not, they just play for wave clear. That's perfectly fine. However, for Tristana, it's going to be really difficult. And the hook does land, but Blitzcrank already down to a 40 HP. Microthorn getting a little bit of damage to Ghouls already onto Microthorn, and he runs to Bush and it will Diego.
Yeah, top lane, 2 fat tanks going at it. Bot lane, though.
Oh, the hook coming out from Blitzcrank. JD Delion has explosive charge on him, but it's not going to deal as much damage as it did to Brian.
Yeah, and this back and forth hook lane, we actually did see this matchup before as well, and it's really a question of who can land their hooks better. JD looking like he took more damage from that fight though, so we'll have to see, because Brian somehow healed up a lot of that damage that got applied early, and now they're level 3 advantage to the side of Vengeful Reapers.
As I'm gonna take a step back and saying about this bot lane. We just said that Sivir, hold on for a second, well, electrocute, Diana, Noise already going in, Noise, he's still running, getting the conquer stack, but little big baby is gonna have to walk out and use the corrupting potion.
Yeah, and we saw this last week. Fizz just has a really rough laning phase a lot of the time, and Vengeful Reapers did get the counter pick here, so it is expected that Lil Big Baby might struggle a bit in lane. He is keeping up very well in CS at this point, though, so if they continue letting this scale, I think Lil Big Baby will hit the mid game, and that's where he tends to excel on that Fizz, looking for picks, not necessarily in his lane, just roaming around and getting stuff done.
Right, and as we just saw, Little Big Baby is gonna have a difficult time because I'd say neither lanes, if they were to lane swap, is relatively great for Fizz. Darius just gonna hurt a lot, Mordekai's just gonna hurt. Where are you supposed to go? There isn't anywhere for you to go at all, and that's just the downside of having a Fizz on your team, because you have to max Trickster, and you don't have quite all of that mana to use on different abilities. And for Microthorn, they're already going for a fight. Top lane sucks, it's gonna do a lot of damage. Will Microthorn fall? Yes, he will. Noxian will fall. And 1 for the Gravedigger.
Yeah, top lane sucks on that Yorick undertaking his opponent already. Really well played, and this was what I kind of wanted to see from the top lane, because top lane Sucks is a really strong, dominant laner as well. And it looks like Microthorn in this game not going to have as much fun into that top lane matchup. And if top lane Sucks can really get snowballing, that Yorick could be an absolute monster. But Vengeful Reapers firing back on the dragon here.
Yeah, they see that at least on the top side, they are just gonna gun for the Ocean Drake instantly, so that's already gonna put them one step ahead towards Soul Point. But however, they do give up the 500 gold, but I really can't tell what is the better trade here after all. And we already see that J Delion is gonna be looking for a hook this time around, but forces the flash onto Brian.
Yeah, and that was a good preemptive flash there from Brian, because Noise was waiting in the wings. I don't know if the side of 7 men were aware. As soon as I say that, though.
Yeah, a lot of action. You being forced to use Rocket Jump, that's going to be 15 seconds on Tristana, and they will have that little bit of window if they want to do a repeat gank. But seeing this minion wave, it's not going to happen. But however, in the mid lane, Fizz is already going aggressive onto Jason KB23. The little Big Baby is already going on, and Fizz is getting lower and lower. Who will be the first one to fall? Jason KB, 25% HP. And little Big Baby will be forced not to continue the fight. However, the Microphone in the top lane, he's hurting quite a bit. Oh my god, that is quite a lot of damage from the boost alone. Top lane Sucks not even having to auto attack, and he's already chunked out quite a bit.
Yeah, top lane Sucks didn't even have to interact in that fight. He just threw his goals down, threw one Q at Microthorn, and walked away and decided to CS instead. So that's the strength of that Yorick there. And I think until Microthorn gets a couple more items under his belt, that's going to be the way that top lane goes, especially since we've already got the completed phage for top lane Sucks there.
Oh, once again, Microthorn are getting lower and lower, and the Maiden will suck him dry. And Microthorn not being so powerful as the last game. It's just not happening.
Yeah, it's almost the exact opposite of what we saw last game, where this game top lane Sucks getting that gold advantage, and he's already up 1,000 gold. This was almost exactly what we saw in game 1. On the other foot there, about 8 minutes into the game, Microthorn had about 1,000 gold. This time the shoes on the other foot. But looks like the side of 7 men aren't content to just leave it. Vengeful Reapers are content to leave it at that.
Right, and we do see the flash on Diana. Diana already going on Lee Sin. Mordekaiser is in the area, and the Mordekaiser won't be landing his E. However, Yorick is going to be lower and lower. The crit for 192 on the Mordekaiser, and Mordekaiser is going to be continuing to run up. Diana would land, and a shutdown coming out from chasing KB. Now, however, in the bot lane, Tristana is doing a little bit of poke onto Tristana and won't chase no further. However, Fizz is in the area, misses the short shark, excuse me, and nothing else will happen.
Yeah, and I think Big Baby just a little slow on the rotation there. Good shove from Jason, made sure that he was the one to get priority into that fight. And now Vengeful going risky, I think, going for this Herald. Top lane Sucks just teleported in.
I don't know how I feel about this. They do have a Lee Sin, perfect champion for stealing any type of objectives. And it seems like they will be forced to get off of this as they finally figure out that Teeman is in the area.
Yeah, I mean, it was just risky to start that up. Top lane Sucks has the item lead, did die, pick up the Sheen, so if he teleports into that fight there, the side of Summit have an advantage, but ball lane.
Oh, the hook does come on, and that thresh getting lower and lower. However, the cage does drop. Tristana, rocket jump. That's one, that's two. Tristana is not quite like a frog, but however, imagines is gonna have to chop Tristana up. And the Ice Shards does hurt quite a bit, and Brian's not gonna try anything further.
And those bot lane fights, I think, they're just going to be on a knife's edge every time they go at it. Because Tristana and Sivir both have similar item spikes in terms of when they get strength here. So definitely going to be really risky. Any fights in the bot lane. And I expect to see a lot more of these sort of trades in the bot lane anytime they go for fight.
Lee Sin, the Drake does come in. The kick does land. Microthorn getting lower and lower. The Rift Herald is still up there, and Microthorn will fall. In fact, it will go over to Yorick once again. However, Jason KB on Little Big Baby. Oh, that is a lot of damage for only having a Blasting Rod and Amplifying Tome. Wow.
That's a Mordekaiser for you, and that was even before he used his ultimate there onto Lil Big Baby. So definitely going to be a problem here for the Knicks of the Wall, at least for that Fizz.
Oh, the flash hook lands. G-Delion, that's Flake that comes out. That's a lot of damage. Forces the flash. Now Jason KB has, well, technically has an equal summoner advantage now. And now they're going to be looking straight for this Cloud Drake, putting them up 2-0.
And I'm a little surprised that Jason held on to his ultimate instead of using it there. They flayed Lil Big Baby out there, so they could have just locked him outside the turret, finished him off. They didn't, though.
Oh, the dash Moonfall doesn't quite land the R2. However, Blitz is in the worst place he could be. And Jason KB uses the Death Realm onto Lee Sin. Now Lee Sin's getting lower and lower. However, the rest of his team is being forced to kite back. But it might just seem that will be taking a 2-0 for this. Top lane Sucks getting a double kill, and now that's 5 out of 7 kills. And now Fizz on the top lane lands the shard. That's 1 out of 3 that he lands so far. Microthorn not quite landing his Q. And now Little Big Baby is gonna have to play this quite carefully.
This is a huge lead coming out from the side of 7 men. They're up 5,000 gold after they get that bot lane turret as well. And this is the early game lead they are dreaming of. This makes sure that doesn't matter whether their composition is good or not. When you've got that big a lead at 12 minutes into the game, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, and that's something that's quite weird to see, because we saw Vengeful Reapers from last game. They were playing extraordinarily well. They played so well, and now, ever since they did the player swap, top lane Sucks. It's just so dominant over Microthorn.
Yeah, the gold lead here, massive, about 3,000 gold lead there for top lane Sucks. He's already completed his Trinity Force, picking himself up a pickaxe as well ahead of the curve here. And if you look at Microthorn, he hasn't even completed his first major item yet.
Yeah, he's just so behind. It looks like he's going for Trinity Force instead of the Black Cleaver, which I'm not too sure how I feel about this. He definitely needs the armor shredding on top lane Sucks if he is trying to go equal. However, Jason KB is gonna be in the box. Jason KB lower and lower. The Ghouls is doing quite a bit. The Flash Trinity Force Q hurts so much. G-Delion will dash in, but it's not gonna be enough. Now Maiden, Darius, oh, that's gonna be try a Dunkaroo, but that's not gonna be enough. The Smite does go in, but Diana is gonna be
what?
in the grave. And the hook onto Brian. The Shark, Microthorn will be the next to fall. Oh, that's so low onto top lane Sucks. Ed Star, or Blue Star, is gonna be able to find one on the Soul Keeper.
And that was just, everything just went horrifically wrong for Vengeful Reapers. I thought JD got an amazing box bot time for the rest of his team. Top lane Sucks had no business surviving there, and I think just Noise getting a bit over eager, was a bit low, ended up feeding the kill back over to top lane Sucks when they could have just let Microthorn finish that fight there, and that cost them everything, because that gave 7 men the time to collapse it, and all of a sudden Vengeful Reapers is now really far behind. 7k gold. It was just 5k a moment ago. They just lost another 2k goldie. At this point, I think Vengeful Reapers just needs to turtle up, try and send Microthorn to a safe lane to farm up a bit, get a 4-man squad roaming around, try and get some picks going, because if they fight even, they're going to lose every fight for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, if this continues in the same tempo, same kill lead, same gold league, we're technically not going to be seeing a 30-minute game here. This might as well be another 20 25-minute game, and it's gonna hurt quite a bit. But however, the Dregs is helping quite a bit, but not too much. As for the Yorick, just hurting quite so much, and now Jason KB in the bot lane is actually gonna be finding a turret for himself, and his entire team is possibly rotating over.
It looks like the teams are going to trade objectives here. We do see the side of 7 men. They're going for that Herald, and on the other side, Vengeful Reapers was clustered around that Drake, and that would give them soul point if they get it. But they're sacrificing a lot to get position way too far in advance. That Drake is still about 20 seconds away from spawning. They've almost already lost their mid-outer turret for positional advantage and vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do pick up the bot turret, but I don't know how I feel about this because now they do have the rift out. The mid tower is extremely low. They open the mid turret up right now. They're gonna have just so much priority over both sides of the map, and it's gonna be so hard for them to come back from this.
Yeah, and they just traded position for both the objectives there. They lost Dragon, they lost Herald, and that means that 7 men are just going to find it that much easier to try and break these inner turrets. They've got Shelly available, they've got the stronger team, and they've got all the outer turrets down as well.
Yeah, that's the thing with 7 men's rock team comp, and now, wow, that was such a clean hook to find J Delion, and he was instantly bursting. Now, however, Shelly is gonna be charging, and quite soon, if they keep it up, it's gonna be for another charge. But Zipper already used the heal, but then, however, Jason KB timing it all so well, and it won't be another charge.
Yeah, the beautiful intercept there from Jason KB, the last goalie for that inhibitor turret. They would have lost quite a bit on that if Shelly managed to get another charge off. So all in all, not too bad. They did lose a turret right away, but that's a cheap price to pay when you give up Herald this late into the game here.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. You use Herald, you're only gonna get 1 tower max, at least. If you play well, you get 2 or 3, maybe even 4. But they use it full HP, so I don't know if they quite know how to use it perfectly. But they do have the opportunity to close out this game in a couple of minutes or so.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that was just really well played from Vengeful Reapers more than 7 men mispositioning that. They went and cracking that inner turret in the mid lane also does give them a lot more control over the map here, because Vengeful Reaper is going to lose a lot of vision outside their base. It's kind of scattered right now, whereas for 7 men, they can start placing more aggressively. They still have almost all their outer turrets, just missing the bot side there, but with Dragon down for the next 3 minutes, they don't really need the vision on the bot side right now. Baron's going to spawn in a minute and a half, and they can just focus on the top side where they do have vision for now. Look for those picks, because so far Brand and Teeman doing a lot better this game on the Lee Sin and Blitzcrank respectively, able to find the targets, get picks, and if they can keep this up, yeah, it's really good, and they do.
Oh, another hook onto Thresh. The Delion is going to be lower and lower. However, the Ignite at T-Min is actually going to be the one to find his 2nd kill. And that's another 100-ish gold over to 7 men.
Yeah, and that's really rough for the support to just get caught out there. I'm not even sure they actually had... Oh, they had the minion vision onto JD there, which is why he ended up getting caught. Very, very unfortunate for him, but that's kind of a slow death coming out from the side of Vengeful Reapers. You don't want to keep getting picked like that. It's costing you pressure, and now that top inner might go down.
Yeah, if they get another pick just like that, that could possibly be a Baron into an endgame, which is something you don't want to quite see right now. As far as this point of the game, like 6k ahead, something like that, and they're just steamrolling this game all around. And just Microthorns having such a bad game, it's just really hard for them to get back into this.
Yeah, seven men putting an absolute clinic here on how to win an early game, use the pressure. I think this was kind of what they were aiming for game one. You have the same core here, sort of an assassin mid lane high burst champion. You've got Lee Sin and Blitzcrank both really good at punishing miss positions here, and that is, I think, what they were aiming for game one. It was just that top lane sucks, able to hold his lane better and win it flat out, actually, where Mr. Ascendant, or the Ascendant, sorry, got run over, and that derailed their plans. So at this point, I think for the side of Vengeful Reapers, they just need to keep stalling out. They have great wave clear with Imagines. They've lost almost all their inner turrets, and so they've sort of contracted back into their base here. They don't have to worry about Dragons, so they did manage to secure themselves the first two Drakes, so they can afford to give up Drakes, give up the pressure. The only thing they really absolutely need to contest are those base inhibitor turrets and the Baron. As long as they can keep that alive, stall the game out another 15-20 minutes, everything's back to even, and their team skills a bit better, I think.
Right. And now we do see that they're gonna go for the Mountain Drake. They're not quite at Soul, but however, Vengeful Reaper is gonna be going for Baron on the opposite side of the map. It's gonna be quite interesting to see of what they do. They recognize this. They're leaving two people at Drake, and they're already heading over. 2K. It's gonna be so very, very close, and it will seem that Vengeful Reaper will be couple of seconds faster. The poke lands on Delion again, and that's gonna be one of the Baron down.
Yeah, really ballsy play, and I actually really like it from the side of Vengeful Reapers. They took a guess that there was no vision there, and they guessed right. I mean, the spider senses of seven men were tingling there. You saw the pings going down while they did to Dragon, so they suspected it was being done. But this will buy Vengeful Reapers some time. Giving up JD's life for that, it's a worthwhile trade. The question is whether or not they can save their base, though. They do have burned up minions, but they're down a man right now. So if they can hold up till JD's back, I think they got this.
Yeah, they definitely do, but as we see on J Delion, he is 2 levels behind, so it's not gonna hurt quite as much as it was someone else, but he really isn't able to get anything. Yeah, they aren't just able to get anything because, as we see, they're just constantly rotating and getting the most, or the main things, the side turrets, the inhibitors, the dragons. They're just playing it so well, mechanically and with micro. And
Vengeful Reaper. Sorry, I was gonna say Vengeful Reapers are playing this great. They're forcing a base race here. If Lil Big Baby doesn't move back, they're gonna lose a lot. But JD getting caught again.
Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, they might get a couple of kills here, but they are losing their base from Yorick. That's the thing, and just after they make a grave mistake, they're gonna lose an entire team, and this could possibly be the game here.
Yeah, I mean, with that, you've got a Tristana. Tristana excels at taking structures down, and I think Vengeful Reapers had the right play in mind. They forced the base race with a Baron buff, with a Sivir. They were winning that. Unfortunately, they get caught by a beautiful hook from Brian, somehow threading through all the minions, picks JD out of the crowd once again, and JD going down. JD not having a good game here. 0-7 right now. Really struggling to survive this game. I guess without the Alistair, he needs to find a different pick, because I think his Thresh is not the answer to Brian's Blitzcrank here. But it does look like for now, 7 men are gonna be a bit. They're not gonna end it right away. It looks like they just pushed out the lanes for now. So a bit of breathing room here for the side of Vengeful Reapers. Dragon will be spawning about 2 minutes. Baron in about 3. So in the meantime, really, Vengeful Reapers just has to protect the base for the next little while.
Yeah, that's the thing, and they do take 2 inhibitors also. Dragon's gonna be up in a minute 40. They're roughly like, let's say, ballpark 11k gold, somewhere around there. The only person who actually has quite an amount of gold and damage is really Jason KB. and if he's able to stop basically everyone from pushing, I mean the other four from pushing, and he is able to pull the pressure, that's gonna be so well for Vengeful Reapers.
Yeah,
But
and
also on the opposite side for 7 men, they get one pick, and that's basically gonna be a game closer.
yeah, and he just pulled all of them basically away. It was only Teeman left pushing for the top lane there, and Lee Sin not the fastest. And all this is buying time for Noise to try and farm up a little bit. So the longer they can just sort of keep this this sort of game going, where the side of 7 men have problems pushing in, the better for them. There are super minions coming in the mid and bot wave as well, and that just means free minions right now for the side of Vengeful Reapers, unless 7 men back up those super minions and siege alongside those super minions. Not to mention, this is giving time for the inhibs to respawn as well. So the next Drake coming up about 30 seconds. Mountain Drake, it's going to make the side of 7 men super tanky because they've already got 2. That'll be number 3. But it's still not Soul Drake. So as long as it's not Soul Drake, Vengeful Reapers can afford to keep seeding those objectives to buy time.
Yeah, they can, but Noise is already onto Lee Sin. Lee Sin's gonna get pulled. Lee Sin is gonna have to dash out, but then the smite coming out from nowhere is gonna be Lee Sin's downfall. But they will trade a Mountain Drake for Lee Sin's life.
And you've just got to make lemonade out of whatever lemons you're given right there. It's not the best of trades, but it's one of the better ones that Vengeful Reapers could have picked up at this point. At least they got a kill. Gives some more gold over to the side of Noise. And it looks like they're funneling a lot of the gold right now towards Noise and Imagines. And that's not a bad idea because the Moonfall coming out from Diana, we saw how much damage Noise did in that fight at the inhibitor turret there. Managed to take down Brian and almost take down Muxtar as well. So get her fed and she can burst the damage. She's got the Zonias as well to survive the initial engage. And Imagines your ADC. You want that crit silver. She's already got the Essence Reaver, got the Infinity Edge, has picked herself up an Executioner's Calling. I'm not 100% sure who that's really meant for. I mean, there is some life steal and health steal there from top lane Sucks on the Yorick, but other than that, not seeing a ton of healing on anybody on 7 men, so not sure if it'll be efficient, but they're starting to get the item. But Baron now being taken by 7 men, and that might just break this stalemate that we've been seeing for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, definitely. If they get this without letting them take it, and it's definitely going to be something to be reckoned with if they are able to close this one out. And now we do see that they're finally going back to get their final items, or last couple items. All they literally need to do is let little Big Baby just apply some pressure, wait for his entire team to walk up to the base, and just after they get top turret, they're free to do literally whatever they want.
Yeah, it looks like it's the final countdown here as they go in for those inhibitors.
And Miss Dunk, Mordekaiser is doing a lot of damage, but Imagine is doing a lot more, but they will lose out on top turret and inhibitor for the price of 2. That's 2 Barons. And actually they push, or they take Blitzcrank into Death Realm, and JCKB takes one for himself. Top lane Sucks, however, is a monster, taking 1 for 1. Noise getting lower and lower. The dunk is just way too much. The true damage was not enough. However, the takeover damage, the bleed, was enough to cause the hemorrhaging.
I don't think that fight could have gone any better there for the side of Vengeful Reapers. 7 men splitting up really oddly there. They were in the base of Vengeful Reapers. Vengeful Reapers moving as 5. They would have won any 5-on-5 they fought. Instead, they split into this weird 1-2-2, and we saw Brian and Lil Big Baby getting picked down, Teeman getting taken down, Mook forced all the way out of the fight there, and then top lane Sucks staying alone in the top lane after he got the top inhibitor to try and pick up a kill on Imagines. That's just greed, and he ends up giving a massive bounty over the way of Imagines there.
Yeah, they give a really fat bounties over to Vengeful Reapers, and this could be the cost of Vengeful Reapers getting back into this game. Yes, they may have 3 Drakes, a lot of variable and stats, but just 1,000 gold over from nowhere is just a lot, man. There isn't much they can do to stop the 1,000 gold from going over if they continue to play like this.
Yeah, and Vengeful Reapers, this is why when I think of Vengeful Reapers, I think of a scrappy team, because they were down, I think, 4 kills to 11 at one point. They fought back now to 11 to 19, and that's really coming back. The game time now, 30 minutes. You mentioned, Paul, earlier that you didn't think it would reach a 30-minute game if they kept playing the way they did on the side of 7 men, but Vengeful Reapers firing back, managed to keep themselves in the game up to this point. And there's no sign that they're giving up here. They're still shoving things out, still trying to get objectives. They fought off a Baron now. They did lose 2 inhibitors for it, but they're still in the game. And the next Drake will be Soul Drake if 7 men gets their hands on it. It will be the Mountain Soul. So even more tankiness as well as a shield. We'll have to see if Vengeful Reapers will actually contest this or not. They do have double teleports available from their solo laners, so we'll be able to keep those inhibitorless lanes there shoved out while they try and contest this Drake.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough one because we never really expect this game to go with 30 minutes since they're so ahead, and it just seems like they're just going to be possibly getting the solo. Yes, they will. However, they all teleport, they all do their thing. Lots of damage. The pullback, Microthorn will be dragged. No, that's Lee Sin in the death realm. However, the fight is just going all so bad. The fuck. The Lee Sin goes back in, and this might as well be the turning of the tides. The late game scaling as we all wanted from Vengeful Reapers, and it finally happens.
And Microthorn once more looking to get his Penta, getting execute after execute in that fight. The guillotine keeps dropping down, but cannot once again get the Penta stuck at the Quadra as Mooks are able to limp away alive. 6-1 and 5. Very slippery on the Tristana. They're doing work, and Vengeful amazingly wins that fight. I honestly didn't think they were going to win it initially, but they do. They lose the soul, they lose the Nexus turret, but they win that fight, and that is massive for them because the gold lead now shrunk to about 5,000, and at 33 minutes here, a 5,000 gold lead is by no means insurmountable, and Vengeful Reapers actually finding themselves able to fire back here.
Yeah, just Microthorn just doing a lot of damage from the execute, just a true damage. Nobody ever expects the 5 stacks into the guillotine. And man, you'd never expect 1,000 damage from true damage. And they were caught off guard, but however, now we see the same situation that they're gonna be looking for the game ender with the bot minion wave coming back. However, they have 2 options in this game here or delayed for Baron. What will they pick? That is to be determined. And it looks like they're already gonna go in. Vengeful Reapers are ready, gonna go for the fight. The guillotine is actually not gonna do anything. However, imagine it's just putting a lot of damage. Now the death realm is gonna be onto, I believe that is Lee Sin. Yes, it will be. And now Tristana is going onto Noise. Noise doing a lot of damage. Jason Kirby is not gonna be able to take the kill. Now Teeman is gonna find one more for himself, putting him at 3 to 60. Delion is gonna be lower and lower. However, this might as well be the game. As well, they don't have the damage to stop them all. GG 7 men, and that will bring us to game 3.
And that was such a good game, such a close game there. I was looking at VGR, Vengeful Reapers pulling the trigger with the on the hunt, getting that fight they wanted. We're gonna win that game, but that Phantom 6 men, my brother minions here, coming clutch for 7 men. Forced Imagines to back off, and that really left Jason, KB, and JD kind of up a creek with no paddle there, getting surrounded by the remaining 4 players on the side of 7 men. But Vengeful Reapers, What a masterful attempt at a comeback here. They really actually almost pulled it off. They were really hitting that late game stage. Imagines with that crit build starting to come through, doing a ton of damage. Did have the last whisper getting built as well. So had the armor penetration, had the crit multipliers, and Mook just not able to shred down the front line fast enough. But as you said, Microthorn just couldn't catch the guillotine didn't get the execute, and that meant that he couldn't keep getting those dunks going there. That really hurt them in that team fight. So I'm super excited as we have ourselves a game 3 here.
Yeah, ever since the top 2 best of 3, you really don't expect a game 3 to ever come back out. But here we are, we have a game 3. It's gonna be neck and neck, and they're gonna have to pull every single spot, every single fight, and they have to play everything all so well.
Yeah, and the damage charts this time much more balanced on the side of Vengeful Reapers, it looks like here. Most damage coming off Imagines. He was doing work here, and considering how badly he has suppressed Microthorn, still managed to do the second highest on his team. If we take a look at 7 men, it looks a lot like the graph we saw from Vengeful Reapers last game. The top lane sucks, doing the bulk of the damage, 22,000 here for his team. Absolutely massive, but for the mid laner here for Lil Big Baby, I really don't know if the Fizz is necessarily the right pick for him, because he ends up doing the second lowest damage on his team.
Yeah, the Fizz pick, yeah, does apply some pressure, but you also got to remember that Fizz was basically manhandled into playing either a Darius or Mordekaiser. It's so difficult for Fizz to do much this game around. I don't think it's gonna be a bad pick, but if they want their mid laner to do more, they definitely have to change it up.
Yeah, and with that, we will be headed for a game 3 here. The score tied up 1-1 between Vengeful Reapers and 7 men, and I am super excited to see what adaptations both teams are gonna make here, because Vengeful Reapers definitely gonna have to probably change some things up here for game 3. I don't think it was so much mechanical misplay, so they'll have to look for some edge, and I think 7 men, they're not sure if they want to keep their draft from this round. I think the Uric worked really well, but perhaps they could find better ways to close out. We'll have to see as we go into an intermission break to prepare for game 3. See you all in a couple of minutes.